Hi Homeworthy, I'm Colette.
And I'm Karen. We're Hunter Hill Interiors.
Welcome to my home in Wellesley, Massachusetts.
Welcome to a special edition of Homeworthy. In celebration of Mother's Day, we're unlocking the doors to 2 generations of design. This week, we're honoring the unique bond between mothers and daughters by stepping into each of their homes as they jointly share their stories, style, and the spaces that bring them closer.
We sold our family home when my youngest went to college and moved into the city. And so now this has kind of become the hub for us, and it's been really fun.
From timeless heirlooms to modern takes on family traditions, we'll also share easy ideas for adding a floral flourish to your own Mother's Day celebration. So get cozy and enjoy our Mother's Day series, because nothing says home like a mother's touch and a daughter's twist.
Happy Mother's Day. Bye.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Karen Cacciatore.
I'm Colette Archambault. We are interior designers. Welcome to my home in Wellesley, Massachusetts. So my husband and I moved into this home back in July. We found out that we were pregnant with my daughter in March. She was born in November, and we were living in the city at the time in the seaport, and I think we automatically knew that we needed some more space. I remember just waking up one morning after finding out I was pregnant and being like, where am I gonna hang my Christmas stockings? I don't have a fireplace. And that kind of just started our dive into house hunting. I grew up in the Boston area, and I knew we wanted to be in a suburb around here, so we ended up choosing Wellesley, which we are so happy we did. It's a beautiful town. And I knew going into it I wanted a house with a lot of charm. You can see throughout the home that there's a lot of beautiful original millwork and molding, and that was something that was really important to me and my husband when we were looking at homes. It was a very intense process. I think the market was very crazy at the time, but
Stressful.
We had lost some homes through bidding wars, and I think obviously everything is meant to be, and we ended up with this beautiful home, and we're so happy and excited to raise our children here. The previous owners loved the home so much, and I think wanted it to go to a nice young family, and so we're excited to be stewards of this home for years to come. If you follow me this way, we can head into my living room. So this is our living room. You'll see throughout the home we do use a lot of wallpaper, but we specifically chose to show some restraint on the walls in here, and we just went with the house white, which you'll see throughout the rest of the home, but it is simply white, which we think is the perfect warm white without looking a little too yellow. She's the queen of white paint over here, and I'm sure, as many of you know, white paint is probably the hardest thing to get right in a home.
Seems like it should be easy. It is not easy.
Depends on the lighting, depends on the room. There's a lot that goes into it, but we did land on this beautiful Simply White, which is the ceiling color, the trim color, and the wall color.
It's so interesting in this house because Simply White in your house almost takes on like a candlelit sensation, I would say, or like a feeling on the walls. Just, the way your house is situated, it's the perfect white for this home.
Moving along, I think this room was the perfect example of the fact that your home should really be a reflection of you. You'll see we definitely did not shy away from color in here. It's bright, it's poppy, it has a very fun flair to it. It gives the feeling of a young family home, I would say, while still being on the more restrained side as well. We have these beautiful slipper chairs with, again, Peter Dunham. We love his stuff. Beautiful Peter Dunham fabric with a small scale print here. Funny story, when I was convincing my husband for the design plan of the home, I told him that these chairs were a Nantucket red, not a pink, because I think he would probably be a little scared if I told him we were putting pink chairs in our living room. So he's gonna see this now, but I love the color of them. It's absolutely beautiful.
When they delivered the chairs, Chris was like, where are the pink chairs going?
Yes.
That's like, the living room.
I'm very lucky that he's very easygoing, and he loves our taste, so
He
has fallen in love with the pink chairs. But we loved pairing more of the larger swivel chairs you'll see in this really pretty Colfax and Fowler blue velvet with the more feminine silhouette of the slipper chair. Again, we love this blue velvet, and we love that we piped it in this aubergine color. It's just a beautiful contrast, and we just love what it adds to the room.
Yeah, this room just gave us that room to kind of more color the better. And I think we found that fabric first, the Peter Dunham fabric.
Yes, yeah.
And we love this color blue.
We pulled out some of the, the purple in here and thought that it looks so fresh with the purple
We use
against
this color
the blue.
probably in almost every design we do.
The blue, you're
yeah,
saying,
one of
yes.
our favorites. And so we leaned into kind of the plums in here. We pulled the aubergine piping, and from there the room started to take shape, I would say.
Yeah, I would say it's funny because when I always thought about my adult living room growing up, I never expected to use these fun pops of color, but it just feels so right for my family as well now.
Yeah.
And then we have these beautiful drapes with this Elizabeth Eakins small scale paisley pattern in here. Plays off of the paisley in the dining room wallpaper. And we also love using, a dark bronze rod. I think, like my mom mentioned in the dining room, adding those black pieces really grounds the space and adds, a very elevated feel. You'll see our little sconces here are dark bronze as well. And then we have a large bamboo black coffee table here too.
And I think it's talking about the large coffee table scale. A lot of people are sometimes, if they don't have like a giant room, they're often afraid to put in larger scale items. But I think we both agree that adding big chunky pieces in sometimes smaller spaces actually makes the room live bigger. It makes it feel bigger. And we love this oversized coffee table. It is really kind of pulls everybody
It's
in.
the center of the
everything in.
room.
Yeah, it creates an automatic conversation area and 100% grounds the room, especially doing it in black.
As we were talking about, adding pieces to your home that are a reflection of you and that are sentimental, you'll see that we actually have our wedding guest book displayed here. We got married at the golf club that my family belongs to right outside of Boston, and they had this coffee table book that is a description of all of the golf course and the history of the club. So we used it as our guest book at our wedding, and I just love having it on display on our coffee table because it's just a memory of a great day, and seeing all the well wishes from our friends and family is just really special to me.
Yeah, don't get nervous about doing your coffee table. And I know this is a large size, and people sometimes will say, can you come help me with my, style my coffee table? I always say, take out pieces that you care about, that tell your story, and put them on your coffee table. Don't worry about making it too pristine
Matchy.
or like magazine-y. Find things that tell the story about you, and that's how you build your coffee table style.
I think that, again, that speaks to shelves too. I think a lot of people struggle with styling shelves, not going to lie. It's a work in progress every day. I think I'm always tweaking them and messing with them. But I think, again, displaying things that are important to you, collecting things over time, tell the story of your family. Overall, just having a feeling of balance, I think, is probably most important. You need a lot of stuff to style shelves. It takes a long time to collect things over time. So I love being able to display things that are meaningful to me and my family. You'll see here that we have this beautiful black antique tray that I sourced on a trip to London with my husband. We absolutely love it. My husband and I travel to London a lot. It actually was the inspiration for my dining room. We stay at the Net Hotel, and we loved the intimate British vibe of it, so we kind of leaned into that for my dining room. But we found this on one of our trips over there, and I love displaying it as well. Again, adding those black accent really grounds the space. Welcome to our family room, which we call the Snug. It is a very cozy space. It used to be a sun porch that the previous owners enclosed into a Four Seasons room, and now has this great gas fireplace, which is on all the time. It gives off a lot of warmth. It's very cozy.
We chose to use, again, an oversized piece in here. We filled the room really with this custom sectional.
The room is very narrow but long.
Yeah.
So we definitely wanted to use the space the best we could with the furniture.
Yeah, and this is this room where you're going to curl up on the couch, you're going to watch TV, you're going to watch football, watch movies. And so this may seem a little oversized, but it totally fills the room, and it just feels so cozy. Again, we're using a performance fabric on this, a roast Harlow plaid, which we love, but it's completely scrubbable and washable, so great for young families.
I think, we wrapped the room in this nutty grass cloth. It's actually a vinyl, which is great because I'm sure my kids' hands will be all over it, and you can wipe it off. It's so easy to use, and you also don't see the seams like you would with a traditional grass cloth, which I think because of how the ceilings are pitched, it makes it look a little bit cleaner. And then we ended up going with more of a feminine silhouette for the sectional. You'll see there's an English roll arm here, and we went with a box pleat skirt. We think it kind of balances the more manly feeling of the room and just adds a really nice touch.
Yeah, and then we decided to bring in a little fun in the back of the bookshelves, and we took a kind of busier wallpaper, I would say, but really colorful, and we just put in the back of the bookshelves and just add some interest flanking the TV and makes the room feel, adds that charm to this part of the room. So I started my career a long time ago as an attorney. And actually, it's so interesting. A lot of former attorneys have become interior designers. Someone should probably do a study on that. But I was fortunate enough that I was able to make a decision to stay home and raise my family. And so while I was raising kids, we moved several times. So interior design became a passion of mine. And we renovated homes, we built several homes. And so it just kind of became a natural progression where I started helping my friends and just always felt that calling, really.
Yeah, I think, I watched my mom design our homes growing up, and I think it developed a passion within me as well. I started off my career in project management at a creative agency, so I really got to learn the business side of things and the client management, which I think is extremely helpful in this industry. We really have honed in on our process, and I think it's something that our clients really appreciate because it's transparent, it's efficient. Our clients know from beginning to end what to expect, and it's something that we really try to kind of market as something that differentiates us a little bit.
Yeah, and we take pride in it, and our clients really appreciate it, actually. So,
and now we'll take you into the kitchen. Welcome into my kitchen.
You can see in this kitchen, it is not a huge space, but there's lots of charm. The previous homeowners had this beautiful nickel gap already on the ceiling and the thick molding, and we just loved the way it enveloped the room. Mm-hmm. So we kind of were talking about how to add something interesting to a small space.
You'll see it is a galley kitchen in here. So we ended up doing a really beautiful checkerboard pattern on the floor. It's something that everyone, as soon as they walk in the space, takes note of. It's something a little bit different and adds charm to a smaller space. Packs a punch.
People think about the ceiling being your fifth wall, but don't forget about your floors. And I think it's kind of popular right now. A lot of people are doing interesting treatments on their floors. A really great option for if you don't automatically have the budget moving into a house to maybe redo your floors or rip them up. Painting your floors.
It's a beautiful look.
Is a beautiful look. Can save money and transform a space.
Yeah, we went with, instead of the traditional paint, we actually ended up going with a stain on the floors. We worked with a really talented decorative painter, Shelley Denning, and she came and mapped out how we wanted the scale of the checkerboard to be. And you'll see the lighter tone is actually the tone of the floors to the rest of the home, and then we went with a darker stain on top to create the beautiful checkerboard that you see here.
We love how it's subtle, but definitely packs a punch.
We got really lucky with the condition that the kitchen was in. All we really had to do when we moved in is we swapped out the hardware for something a little bit more fun. We went with this, it's almost more modern, I would say, with this square back plate and these almost industrial looking knobs. They have like a flat face. And we love unlacquered brass. I think people get scared of the patina, but I just love the look of it, and especially over time as it continues to patina as well. Moving along, again, because this is a galley kitchen, you want to make the most of your space. And so we added this really useful little small island in the middle. And it's perfect for when we're hosting. We put cheese boards, charcuterie boards on here. We make a drink station. This can also be moved around. We put it in my living room to make a little bar out of it. We use it for chopping, for cooking. It has been really helpful as we moved into this space as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, another example how if you find a piece that you like, you can use it in different rooms and repurpose it. So this was perfect size for this space, but you can use it anywhere, really.
And then moving along, we have probably the world's smallest powder room. It's tucked off to the side here in our little side entryway. It is so teeny tiny, but It packs a punch for sure. We love to call powder rooms the jewel box of the home. It is a place to have fun with the wallpaper. You know, again, we were lucky that it had this beautiful beadboard in here, so we had this smaller space to wallpaper. We went with something a little bit more glam. We added this ticking stripe sink skirt to a very tiny sink here.
When in doubt, add a ticking stripe. We love adding, you know, a high contrast ticking stripe to a bench, a couch, a chair, here a sink skirt. It automatically just gives it that kind of polished look and adds obviously some charm.
Yeah, again, you know, it's a smaller space, so we used what we could and we put the mirror over the window here. It's a tiny little mirror, but it does the job. And again, it adds a little bit of charm and a little bit of unexpected item to the room as well. So I think our vibe and our taste is a fresh traditional take. We love bright poppy colors, we love patterns, we love florals, and we wanted this home to be a reflection of my family. So we went with, you know, a lot of bright colors and patterns. And
family-friendly fabrics, actually. And so when we were choosing fabrics and textiles, you know, people live with dogs and they're gonna have children running through here with juice boxes and sticky hands. And so that definitely played a role in some of the fabrics that we chose.
Definitely, a lot of them are performance fabrics.
Yeah, so that you can have a beautiful home, but you don't have to be stressed when kids are sitting on the couch or, you know, eating their snack after school, etc. And so we really thought through that process. We were picking out all the fabrics for the home.
This is our Eden banquette. It's probably one of the reasons that I fell in love with the home. I love a banquette, and the fact that the house already had one just made me so happy. We went with a performance perennials fabric on the cushions, which scrubbable, can be thrown in the wash, especially now that I'm gonna have young kids, it's perfect. And we loved adding a little bit of wallpaper in here. You'll see throughout my home, I do love wallpaper. And we love kind of the juxtaposition of the creamy wallpaper with some more of the modern art. I think that's something we're leaning into right now, is a traditional space and then adding that almost unexpected modern piece of art as well.
I know we love with this piece how the art is abstract, but the frame is super traditional. It's actually an antique French frame. And so we just love the way that looks together because it kind of sets the tone for the house, really. Just the juxtaposition of contemporary and traditional.
The artist Amanda Carroll is so talented, and we found her and fell in love with her work, and she actually bought a piece for her home as well. And we just love the colors of it. It's more neutral, but it still, you know, has that abstract feel to it, which is just beautiful.
And interesting.
It's an interesting piece.
We thought about maybe doing a printed fabric on the windows and then just landed on this beautiful sheer. We felt it just framed the window, and we didn't want to compete with this chandelier, which I think was one of the first things
we
you
found
purchased.
this at spring market last year. It's a Curry & Co. chandelier. It's fun. I love the floral element of it. Again, it ties in the brass from the hardware in the kitchen. You know, I think it leans a little more formal, but I think you shouldn't be afraid to put a formal piece over even an informal dining space.
Yeah, I think especially in a banquette, and this is like really your kitchen table. You don't have the kitchen island, so this is where
everything happens.
We all hang out, I would say. And so I think adding a little bit more luxury to a space you use all the time, I think is the perfect way to kind of elevate the space in general. And a lot of people might have thought it should be more of a dining room chandelier, but we absolutely love what it adds to the space. And if you're in this space all the time, you might as well really go for it and love it.
And enjoy it, for sure. We designed this table with a local vendor on Cape Cod. You'll see, I don't know if you can tell the base is a little bit interesting, but we chose definitely a darker stain. We love how it kind of plays off of the floor here, and it's truly a family heirloom, and I'm also so excited to pass this down to my children as well. You know, I think we went through a lot of different ideas when coming up with our overall plan for the home, but our most fun and I think the most important space is my daughter's nursery. At the time, you know, when we moved into the home, I was 8 or 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
So.
And also, I think it's important, like for the backstory, that while Colette was pregnant and we were searching for homes for her and we were thinking about designing this home, we were also really building our business. And so it was like such a really exciting, fun time for both of us. We were busy. She was expecting her first child. We were building our business, and we really got to dive into this house from a creative standpoint.
And we knew it was going to be a big portfolio piece for us, and I think since posting the home, it has gained a lot of traction. So, it's been such a fun process, and I think a lot of people have resonated with performance fabrics and the bright colors, and I think in a time when people are kind of leaning more neutral, it was really fun to have fun with the home and the patterns and textiles as well.
Exactly.
Welcome into our dining room. This is definitely a little bit of a departure from the rest of the home. We wanted to go a little bit bold, a little bit moody, a little sexy, just because when we are hosting in this space, we wanted to have a very intimate feeling, which I think we achieved with this dark blue that you see throughout. It's almost a color drench. We started with this beautiful textured Peter Dunham grass cloth in this paisley print. We love the scale of the print and the colors. And then you'll also see that we painted all of the trim and the molding in this bright, almost royal-ish looking blue. I think when we were choosing a trim color for the room, we tried a navy and we thought it was giving too much of an Americana feel, so we wanted something a little bit poppier and a little bit brighter, so we landed on this beautiful royal blue. And we ended up glossing, using a high gloss paint for all the trim and the molding, which we think just adds a really fun pop and a juxtaposition to the textured feeling of the grass cloth. So you'll see we actually ended up glossing the ceiling as well. That was sort of a little bit of a last minute decision, I would say. And we think it just really envelops the room in this moody feeling. And we love when we're hosting a dinner party, we'll have candles lit, and just the way the light reflects off of the ceiling just creates such an intimate feeling and vibe. Moving along, you'll see we have my grandmother's china displayed, which is just so important to me. She actually ended up driving it up to Boston. They live in Georgia for my wedding and gave it to us as our wedding gift, which is just so special. You'll see that it is a beautiful white plate with a gold rim. It's so traditional. You can pair it with fun napkins, but you can also go more traditional. It's just the perfect kind of serving ware for when you have guests over for the holidays, and I'm just very grateful to have it for my family.
We decided that we wanted to add another color in, obviously with the blue. So we found this beautiful kind of leafy fabric for the chairs, and we loved adding another pattern in. I think it makes the room interesting, and it just felt right with the blue. We love pairing blue and green. You can see on the pair art across the room that we're huge fans of the blue and green vibe, and so we just liked it against the black chairs. And it's also performance, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think this room definitely has a more eclectic vibe than the rest of the home. It's fun, it's playful. Again, we chose to do 2 pendants here versus doing 1 chandelier. Just, again, has that eclectic vibe. And the brass, it's more of an orangey brass, which we tend to kind of shy away from. But in this room, it creates a very warm light, which is kind of dispersed down onto the table rather than through the ceiling, and it creates a really intimate mood.
Yeah, and the 2 pendants, I think, especially this type of pendant, stops the room from feeling overly serious. Still interesting, but I think still chic and young for a young family.
They're super fun. Yeah. We love them.
Yeah.
And then we also love to add some sculptural elements to the room. You'll see my mom actually found this pretty large ceramic bowl that has its home on our dining room table. It's sculptural, it's fun, it's a little bit oversized, I would say, for this table, but we think it adds a fun, playful element as well.
Yeah, it's that one piece in the room that maybe you wouldn't think belongs, but adds the interest, and we love adding those kind of pieces.
We also, used a brighter color on the traditional, almost antique-looking buffet as well.
This mirror was actually a mirror that I've had from one of my first homes. With my husband and my family, and so I had it in storage for a very long time. I never parted with it because I always thought I'd find a place for it. Kind of in my mind went in and out of style, I would say, but again, it just worked in this room. It worked with her black chairs, and it finally found its perfect home.
Again, we went back and forth on if we wanted more of like a straight edged or something more froofy, and this really just works in this space. Again, it's playful, it's a little eclectic, eccentric, and it just found its home on our wall. If you'll see throughout my home, I've taken a lot of pieces from my mom. I'm very lucky she has good taste because she's passed down some really great pieces
And
to
we
me.
always love something black in a room.
Yes,
I
totally
mean, I guess,
grounds the space.
We've talked about, rules really not being any rules, but I would say the one rule that I think rings true is that adding a piece of black to any space just automatically gives the room like a good foundation or a grounding.
And then going on to some of the artwork in this space, this is kind of just a old school travel poster of Monaco. My husband and I stopped there on our honeymoon, so it's sentimental to us. We stumbled across this poster at a store on Cape Cod, and we loved the bright colors of it. We loved that it had a sentimental value to us. It lived in our apartment in the Seaport and found its home in our dining room. We just love how it pops on the deeper walls as well.
And a perfect example of how art can really be anything. I think a lot of people are intimidated by collecting art or thinking that things aren't, good enough to be art in your formal spaces. And here's a perfect example of something that is sentimental, works in this space, it's colorful, and so you can put things on your walls. They don't have to be traditional landscapes, although I do love a traditional oil landscape. This travel poster fits the bill and is perfect for this space. So don't be intimidated by finding pieces that may not be traditional art and using them in your home.
I think overall you just want to love the pieces that hang in your home. You'll see there's a lot of different styles throughout my home. I have the traditional oils, I have some poppy, almost pop art type travel posters, and mixing and matching them as long as they have, almost a cohesive feeling that it, as long as you love them, it works in the space.
They work.
They work, yeah.
I used to think that there were some rules that you had to follow, and every time I think I believe in a rule, I'll open up social media and I'll see a designer blow that rule right out of the water, and I've realized there really isn't a rule. You just have to go with what suits the house, what feels good, what's authentic to the client, and I think the rules are really out the window.
I think something we try to stick by is maintaining the integrity of the original architecture of the home and making sure that the interiors play towards that. I think that's something that's really important and that we try to carry through with all of our projects as well. We're looking at a beautiful 1930s colonial, so the design is more traditional. It has some fun pops of color, but it does lean more towards the traditional side.
We try to have it feel authentic to the home. And feel like it belongs there. It's not forced. That's really probably our only rule, right?
Yeah. Welcome into our bedroom. You'll see it has a very hotel-like feel. We love designing bedrooms that feel almost like an escape. Again, you get rid of the stresses of the day, you want to relax, unwind. It's very serene in here. We landed on this really pretty, Scalamandre peacock wallpaper. It's fun and playful again. My husband, again, I had to sell him on the peacocks a little bit, but it's a very neutral tonal paper, so it kind of blends into the background but adds a little bit of a fun touch. We ended up kind of last minute, I wouldn't say last minute, but after we designed the room, we ended painting the ceiling a really pretty pharaoh ball. It's called pale powder. We think it kind of just wraps the space and
Again, one
makes
of our
it feel
favorite
finished.
colors that you'll see in a lot of our rooms and a lot of our designs. Just love that color blue.
And then it ties into our robin's egg bed here. Again, it's definitely a larger scale for a king bed, just the way that the headboard's a little bit taller, but it creates that hotel-like feel, and it still has very feminine details with the whimsy silhouette of the headboard and also the posts as well.
Yeah, another example of a larger scale piece or like a bigger piece, like just adding that warmth to the room and really pulling it all together.
Because it is a 1930s colonial, we definitely did not have a lot of closet storage when we first moved in. I think we literally just had a coat closet in here, which is now built into these beautiful wardrobes that we had made. My husband and I each have one, and we added this beautiful shearing and this ticking stripe. We love a ticking stripe, and the back of it, again, adds just a little bit of visual interest, and the storage is very useful.
Yeah, I mean, adding a vanity between the two closets, I think was great because
A no-brainer, especially under the window.
No-brainer, and you can work from here, do your makeup.
Oh, totally. It
Yeah.
doubles as a desk.
Yeah, and
Do my
then
makeup, do
adding
my hair.
another pattern against the tonal on the wallpaper just brings in some more of the charm, brings in more of the colors, and just really keeps it feeling almost spa-like in here with the colors that we used. Over here, we decided to go with a clean, flat Roman shade, and I think for a lot of young families, full custom window treatments throughout.
It's a very large investment.
Yeah, and a lot of times they're not at the top of the priority to do window treatments in every room. So this is kind of an old, trick, but we just took ready-made
Stock.
blinds or shades, and we just added this beautiful Samuel and Sons trim to it, and looks beautiful in the room, and it just goes to show that you don't always have to go fully custom to finish your home and just add those special touches.
I think there are ways to make retail stock pieces feel a little bit more custom. Again, you'll see we added the trim on the dresser in my daughter's nursery. We changed out the hardware, which makes it feel a little bit more elevated and special. So there are ways to do that as well. My husband and I love to entertain in this space. You'll see we had some fun in my dining room, which you'll see throughout the episode. And our living room, it has a bunch of seating for couches and swivel chairs. We want it to be comfortable. We want people to feel comfortable when they walk in our home, but also be a reflection of us as well.
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty large family in this area, I would say, and even our immediate family, we're always all together. It sounds crazy, but truly we are.
Our friends and family make fun of us because, especially, we are always together, especially
We're
now that
always
we work
together.
together.
Yeah.
But my dad's popping in after work to see my daughter. You're here all the time. We wanted everyone to feel comfortable in the space.
Yeah, my other sons are always here as well, and so it's been really fun that we sold our family home when my youngest went to college and moved into the city, and so now this has kind of become the hub for us, and it's been really fun. So.
Moving along from our primary bedroom to my daughter's nursery, we have this really special piece of artwork displayed at the top of our stairs. It has been in my husband's family for quite a few generations. His great-grandfather lived in the Philippines in the 1930s. He actually worked for General Electric, bringing power to the Philippines at that time, and he befriended this artist, Fernando Amorsolo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it was a gift directly from the artist himself. And we just love the colors of it, and it's such a special family heirloom that I'm really proud to be able to display in our home. Welcome into my daughter Vivi's nursery.
I would say my favorite room in the house.
It was the most special, I think, for us to design, for sure.
Yeah, I kind of asked for, forced to get creative control, mostly of this room, being my first grandchild, so it was a really special moment for me. But we went back and forth with wallpapers.
I think there's so many directions you can go with the nursery. I found out right away what gender I was having. So we knew we were having a girl, which made this
no way you were going to wait till the end.
No, which made it so much more fun. I think designing a girl nursery was really special for us. And we went back and forth on kind of what direction we wanted to go. Did we want to have a theme? Did we not? You see all these really beautiful blush pink nurseries, and I think we thought we want to do something a little bit different. So you design this.
Again, I think we've been talking about this whole tour is that this is one of our favorite colors, blue. I'm sure a lot of people have this as a favorite color, but I love incorporating it as kind of the backdrop in this room. It's just a beautiful shade. And I also feel like with this particular wallpaper, it's really not too juvenile at all.
No.
And so this is something that can totally grow with her as she gets older and to be her big girl room. But we just loved the shade of it, and we loved the smaller print because we knew we wanted a bolder print on the windows.
I think we let the wallpaper almost take the back seat in this room to let these drapes sing. Just the boldness of them, the beautiful raspberry color. We went for something a little bit brighter than your traditional blush nursery, and I think it just adds a beautiful pop, and I think just really displays kind of our personalities and how we wanted this room to feel.
Yeah, and I always think like this particular fabric, which is a favorite of mine, you could, if you ever move to a different house, you could put this in a guest room, you could put it in a dining room, you could put it really in an office, but still feels like a really soft girl's room with the crib and obviously
the beautiful glider.
Yeah, a glider. We found these antique prints, I guess I got years ago, and I had them down at our summer home for the longest time. I never hung them. I just never really found the right place for them. and we had already picked the fabric.
We pretty much had already designed the room, and we're just finalizing it with accessories
We
and
were
decor.
down rummaging in my storage room at the Cape Cod, and I remember that I had those. We pulled them out, and it was like, oh my God, it was meant to be in this room. They were perfect. So they landed right there on that wall.
And this is also a passed down piece. This is an antique mirror that my mom had in our childhood home. We have two of them actually, but we use one of them here. And we just love the organic wood feeling of it on the wallpaper, and just adds so much charm to the space. It's funny because we have this definitely more modern flush mount up here, but we think the balance and the juxtaposition is really interesting in the space as well.
Yeah, again, not having to take everything so seriously. Like, this is obviously a passed down piece. It definitely feels more formal, but adding the fun light to it keeps this room feeling, I would say, a little more young. Right, exactly.
I think moving along here, another really special piece to us is this framed Hermes scarf that you'll see here. This actually was a scarf that my grandparents gave to my mother on her 16th birthday, and she passed down to me on my 16th birthday. And then my husband surprised me and had it framed when we were living in the Seaport. I think we were just dating at the time, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's found its home in my daughter's nursery, and is just really special to us as well.
It's something that she will have forever and pass down to her family. I think the soul of a home really comes from things that are important to you. And we have this discussion a lot, I think, in terms of what should be showcased, the rules about what you should showcase on your first floor, but keeping up in the family areas. And I just think those rules should be thrown out the window. If it matters to you, if it's something that's passed down, if it is collected in maybe your travels, that's what you should showcase in your house. And those are the details and the pieces that make your home come to life and show who you are.
I think having pieces that tell a story, like you mentioned, pieces that you've collected over time, I think a home is truly never finished, and you can always be adding things that are important to you, and you want the home to be a reflection of you and your family. We always say you want to walk in and someone be like, oh, this makes so much sense that they live here. It's a reflection of them. So I think having pieces collected over time really just makes a house feel like a home.
Yeah, and I think especially with young families, we always say, start with your bigger pieces first, invest in a few pieces, take your time with the rest. Obviously, young families' budgets sometimes differ greatly, and so we try to guide them in a direction to try to collect some of those pieces that you can reuse in any other house you move to. You can move it around your own house, but you'll have forever and maybe can be passed down as future heirlooms.
Welcome to my entryway. You'll see that we have a really soft neutral stripe leading up the stairs in our runner. I thought because we have so much color in the dining room and in the living room, it gives your eye a little bit of a natural break and just leads up to the second floor really nicely. This bench I found off Cherish. We had a cushion made for it, but I actually made my husband drive me 2.5 hours each way to pick it up. He's a very good husband.
In a snowstorm?
In a snowstorm. She babysat Vivi, and best grandparents ever. And you'll see we have this little sconce here. It's actually from Pookie Lighting, and it is just like an electric or a cordless sconce, because we can't put wiring in this wall because for fire code in the 1930s, this is actually like 2 feet of brick, I believe. So it's just a cordless little light. We have a little remote for it. Pookie Lighting is great for little things like this, and we love the fun little shade.
And this adorable little painting is from Cherish. Here's another example of buying art that you really like. It's so much, there's so much out there now. You can find it on Etsy, you can find it on Cherish, local galleries obviously, but this is probably not the right thing to say or the art correct thing to say, but sometimes I like the frames as much as the art, and I will be drawn to a frame. Sometimes
we love interesting frames.
Yeah, before I even like the art, but this came framed, it was perfect, and I just love a chunky.
We love how it makes the art almost look diminutive because the frame is so chunky here.
So a lot of people ask us how we came up with our name, Hunter Hill Interiors, and it's kind of a funny story. Well, actually,
sentimental as well.
Yeah, sentimental, but Colette's married name is Archambault, mine's Cacciatore, so Cacciatore Archambault Interiors sounded...
It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. So when we were starting our business, we went back and forth a lot on our name, and it was important to us, like how we wanted to feel represented in our brand. And so, funny story, Cacciatore actually means hunter in Italian. So we spent so much time when Colette was younger, really until she went to college in the horse world. She rode competitively, and really horse farms and equestrian facilities. We have so many wonderful memories.
I think that's why we are so close as well. We spent so much time together traveling the country when I was competing, and I think that's also why we ended up starting our business together, because we always knew we wanted to do something together. And in the equestrian world, if you're familiar, there's a division called the Hunters, and it kind of just represents our love for the sport, and so we loved that it tied back to that as well.
And it played on, of course, our last name, and the Hunter Hill just felt familiar to us, almost like a farm, and so it just was perfect when we came upon it, and that's really
after
where the
we
name came
went back
from.
and forth so many times, all of a sudden we're like, okay, that's it. Like, we don't need to ideate anymore. It's perfect.
Yeah, it was done. Home means to me a place of safety and feeling like you can always go there and find love, find compassion, and just always know you belong there. And I think the most important thing that you can do as a mother, as a parent, is to create a home where your children feel loved and always welcome no matter what.
I think home means to me having somewhere to come home to at the end of the day, where the stresses of the day can be behind you, where you can just relax and spend time with the ones you love, and it's a place of safety, like my mom mentioned as well. Homeworthy, thank you so much for joining us in Wellesley, Massachusetts.
We had the best day with you, and we hope you enjoyed the tour.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.